assessing a game, we have 8 people from the team playing it. So what the heck is this in terms of look and feel? To emerge from the crowd and among all these 20,000 games, you need to be different. We don't have a single partnership that is the same. You would have seen them 6-8 months before release, you would have said it would have failed, but in fact it became big successes. Now we are living a publishing renaissance. You need 2 legs to walk, you need content, you need publishing.
Welcome to Big Bats on Cheap Chairs, where we speak with dealmakers from sports, arts, music or science who find outliers early. How do they spot the next big thing? And how does it compare to early stage investing? Cedric Marechal spent 30 years at the intersection of creativity and commerce in gaming, starting at Sega in the mid-90s before spending nearly 2 decades at Blizzard, where he oversaw publishing for franchises like World of Warcraft, Diablo and Call of Duty. At the peak of his career, he made a bold decision and walked away from one of the most powerful seats in the industry to build a new gaming studio from scratch. Ced, so good to meet you. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Yeah, nice to see you. Welcome to beautiful Versailles.
Thank you. We're gonna touch upon that in a second. So I'm meeting you actually for the second time, and I still remember the first time, which was maybe quite a hilarious situation for us because we actually came here for an investor meeting with you guys, which is I think about 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah.
We arrived and you guys told us to sit down and wait because you still had to finish your running game because you were basically playing, and this was more important as meeting investors, which I totally understand. So my first question for you obviously is like, did you play today or yesterday? And if so, what did you play?
I'm a gamer since my childhood, so I'm playing every day. I still love to play Warcraft 3, RTS game. I'm a big fan of RTS game. So I'm playing every week War 3. And I'm playing a lot of mobile games because I'm traveling a lot for business. So always have my Clash Royale or Vampire Survivor with me.
I think from your experience, one might better not meet you on Clash of Clans because this might not look good for that person.
No.
You already teased where we are. Tell us a little bit more about this quite fantastic location and where we are and why are we here?
Well, you're actually in a little flat in Versailles. That's where we started New Tales. Almost 5 years ago now. And that's where we had Blizzard Europe office. And we created Blizzard Europe in 2004. We were 8 people at the beginning. And we ended up being more than 1,000 employees in Versailles. So this has been a great city for gaming in the past. And it's a beautiful city, generally speaking. So you are here in our little garage where we created New Tales.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of history, as one might say, looking in the background. So that's nice. And as you know, so the idea of this podcast is to draw the parallels between industries. And I couldn't be happier than having you as a guest for gaming, since you're looking back on I think 30 years career in gaming.
Yeah.
It's stretched.
Sadly already.
Yeah, suddenly.
Yeah.
And it's stretched over, I think, like the biggest franchises of World of Warcraft, Call of Duty. So you have been involved in really like the big things. And as the beginning of our podcast, we usually try to map down the industry. So I think like there's probably no better person as you to do that.
Okay.
So I'm gonna hand maybe this tactic board to you.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, maybe before we jump into that, because I think our industry is explained actually quite easily. So for us, it's like, right, we're a venture capital fund. So for us, the business model works as like we collect money from institutional investors and private investors, and then we invest it into 20 to 25 startups over time. Ideally, they increase in value, and then we sell our shares at the best moment in time, or what we perceive as a good moment, and return more money to our investors.
So let me explain you the very simple board we prepared for you. So it's kind of gaming for newbies, but I will try to explain the key components of the gaming industry. So maybe as a starting point, gaming is a pretty big market. It's $200 billion per year. So many people are playing games, and more around the world. We are now talking about 3.5 billion players in the world, and you have many new regions starting to count, like Africa, India, Southeast Asia, etc. But the structure remains the same. At the top of this board, you have the developer, the content creator, people that are developing games. So obviously the creators of games are a core component of our industry. You have more and more games being created. And the publisher that's what we do at NewTales. They are either developing games and publishing games or just publishing games. And publishing means all the go-to-market, all the dealing with the digital platforms, all the localization and bringing your game to market at international level. And you have a lot of esports and events, and of course you have a lot of media and advertising, and everyone is focusing on gamers' time, obviously, and winning the heart of gamers.
Can you explain the relationship? So to draw the parallel, developer or studio and publisher. So one might say a publisher is a little bit, or it's comparable to a venture capitalist, as of like picking a developer or studio, what is the equivalent to a startup?
Yeah.
Roughly.
Yeah.
How do they usually work with each other? I think there are different forms, right?
Yeah, there are many models. So the core of the developer is about content development. It's about developing a game. The core of the work that the publisher is doing is a go-to-market. It's building the relationship between the content and the gamers. Mm-hmm. So the publisher is really in the middle between the two. But both have to work together as one team, because it's at the end of the day, it's the same game and it's the same gamer. So you really need to work in a very close manner. And yes, the relationship between the publisher and the developer are taking different form. Some of the developers are in strong need of funding to develop their game. So the publisher can act, as you were mentioning, as a VC to fund game production and game development on top of funding the marketing for the go-to-market part. So it's really a case-by-case approach that we are applying on our side, because every developer or studio is different, and many developers are also different. And in many occasions, the big publishers are integrating studios or developer or production capabilities.
As of like, it's a little bit for us like an incubation model. As of like, if a VC would say like, we start also developing startups in-house, that would be an idea of like a hybrid publisher, as of like publishing yourself, but also investing into studios.
Yes, that's what we do at NewTales. That's what many publishers are doing, building their own games, their own production. In this case, they recognize 100% of the margin, and at the same time be connected with all the developers and creators around the world, because that's where you have a lot of creativity, and you have so many teams building games around the world. Last year on Steam, you had more than 20,000 games released. So let's say during our discussion, it will be like, maybe if it's a 1 hour discussion, it could be 2 games released during just our little discussion. It's a lot of content being created. That's the reason why we love to say content is king, publishing is queen, because great games are not enough. You need great publishing. And at the same time, as a publisher, you see and you discuss with a lot of studios. So you see the games that will be coming in a few months. And you can be like investors are selective in the one you want to fight for, the one where you can really work as one team with a developer studio.
Is it the same, like as of like as a venture capitalist, you buy shares in a company? Is a publisher does not really buy shares in a developer or studio, right? Or how are the economics or the revenue streams here?
Big publishers can do that and can invest and acquire studios. So that's one way of doing it. But when you are in the indie scene, it's mostly rev share related, where the publisher can or not fund the development, depending on the situation in which the studio is, and then is spending on the marketing side to do all the go-to-market, and then you are working with the studio on finding what makes sense for both in terms of balance, in terms of rev share. So that's one model. Either you go through rev share, or you have some big publisher buying studios also and investing in studio because they believe in it, or they are building new studio, acquiring talents and developing new studios.
Okay, super interesting. I think like we're gonna dive into that later for sure. Okay. maybe we kick off with something you just said. I think like there are 20,000 games being released on Steam, and I'm wondering, like, I mean, we also see a lot of deals, and we have to, I don't know, navigate our way through the noise to find the really interesting companies. Can you walk us through a typical week of sourcing at NewTales? How can I imagine you are creating deal flow? As of like, do you go to the GDC meetings? Do you do inbound pitches? Do you check on YouTube? Like, how does your sourcing look like?
Well, Newtels is a new company. We are just 4 years old. So at the beginning, we had to do a lot of introduction of who we were, PPTs and going to events and explain to people who we were as a company and as a publisher and what type of games we were seeking. And now that our reputation keeps growing, we receive more and more inbounds and more studios that wants to work with us because, as you mentioned, 20K games per year is a lot. And I could actually argue that there is a lack of publishing support almost at global scale, especially for indie titles, with a lot of people, focusing on building great content and focusing on developing their game. And then when you come close to the release, you are like, wow, there are a lot of things to do on the publishing side. And the more you start digging into it, the more you realize that you need a partner for that.
So you think there's a gap for publishers?
I think it's funny because 4 or 5 years ago, people were thinking with a digital platform that they could self-publish a lot, because you go on Steam and you self-publish, but in fact you are most of the time self-distributing yourself and not self-publishing, and publishing work is much more than that. And also the intensity of the competition has made people, I think, more aware that you need 2 skills on the publishing side to maximize your chance of success to emerge. Back to our gamer, back to the board, to win the heart of gamers. Gamers are bombarded of information all the time. It's extremely competitive, extremely noisy. So back to your question, it's a question of going through events. It's a question of growing your reputation so that you are receiving more and more games proposal and pitches, a bit like a VC is receiving more and more pitches. We are receiving quite a lot, and on our side, it's very centered also on the team. The chemistry you can have with the team. Super important, the talent from the studio. Challenging and aligning on the vision they have for the game, because it's a complex market, so you need games that are truly different from a look and feel, and also bringing very strong USPs. We love things that are new, that are different. It's very important to emerge. Or games that are different from the look and feel, but have some kind of familiarity in terms of gameplay, so that gamers can enjoy it very easily. And then, of course, playing prototypes. So you were asking the question about.
So you were actually working.
So I'm actually playing, and it's always difficult because when you play a prototype, it's a very unfinished game. So there is always a bit of trying to understand the vision of the studio and where they want to bring it, and trying to imagine what the end game will be, because you play with very rudimentary prototypes in many occasions.
Would you need a voiceover of the founding developers to understand the vision? Or are you already fine no, you just see the prototype, you play this prototype, and can you see the vision from that, or would you require a voiceover?
It depends on the type of game. You have some games where you can tell from the get-go, depending on the category, because you play it and you immediately have a good idea about what it will be. And in some other occasion, you need the discussion. And in any case, we want the discussion, because that's where also you have a sense of, can we work as one team? What about the trust relationship? Can we truly? It's like a wedding. So it's super important, on top of understanding the game vision.
The equivalent would be investing into a pitch deck without having never spoken to the founders, and this would never happen.
Absolutely.
It was the first time recently that I learned about a UK deal where this might have happened. But this is like a very surprise to me, because I think the voiceover is so important, right? Like, yes, like a prototype is important, but I think the team is more important. Is for you because so you just mentioned the component of talent.
Yeah.
As of when you meet a studio, is it better to have let's say great developers, but maybe the idea and the vision of the product is not that great yet? Or is it you have okay-ish developers, but you think the vision behind the game is amazing? What is more appealing, or why not?
Well, more appealing is great developer with great vision.
Obviously, that's the easy one.
That's the easy one. And then it's great developers. Think Daft Punk or Rolling Stones compared to a band in the street. You think that with a Daft Punk or the Rolling Stone, even when they were young, you could say that they had talent. So it's more a question of talent, because they have the skills to find the way and to find the vision. And one of the hardest thing in gaming, like in many cases, by the way, in many businesses, is not necessarily the vision, it's the execution of the vision. And we love to say, vision and idea is great, and many people on earth have ideas, but execution is everything.
Right.
Especially in gaming, where it's so complicated between technology, art and design, music, interactivity, connectivity. There are a lot of components that have to work together to make a great game. And we like to say on our side that execution is everything, and every game is a little miracle. In some sense. So
And it's actually very much the same for us, because like for us there is a saying like, rarely things when we invest in pre-seed seeds, so super early, the things rarely become what people promise it to become.
Yeah.
And it's mostly like betting on the right people. As of like you give like very promising people money. Obviously that direction should be there. But I'd say like for us, I think we made the most mistakes when over analyzing the idea. As of like we were like too dogmatic with analyzing the market or the market sizing and all of that. And then like we see this later on, hey, the company actually turns out to be not completely something different, but now it makes sense. And I think like this is as of like you pick the people over the idea. So I think this is quite
makes a lot of sense.
Insane. You said you just spoke about like the feeling for a game. I think there's a question when it comes to sourcing about data versus gut feeling. And there's like, I think Mike Rose at No More Robots, who said he signs games that make his brain go, what the heck is this? Meanwhile, you can pull a lot of data on Steam, like wishlist velocity, demo retention data, content creator engagement. How do you do that at New Tales? As of where does the green light decision live in? Is it in the spreadsheet or more in the room? Like, how is it for you when you pick?
Well, it's a
mix.
It's a mix.
Obviously,
it's almost an art. It's very difficult because you have to visualize something that is not yet existing, as you were mentioning. So for us, the way we look at it is always, I would say, 4 different categories. Can the game stand out, and does it bring something that will resonate to players globally, and does it got the potential in the vision again? So that's where you can play a prototype or discuss with the creator and understand that. Second, it's a one team thing. So what about the creator? Super important. Third is obviously in our category we have people can release trailers, demos. So you have sometimes some initial sign of traction. So that's super important. You have kind of a concrete validation back to what you are saying about data, concrete validation about the fact that players are liking the project. And then it's a question also of financials and finding projects that are win-win, win for the studio, win for us, and
as of the deal,
the deal, and it's a big component of it, because in the current market, it's difficult to forecast. You can have some ideas, but something is your break-even. You can guess on forecast, but the break-even is pure math. It's a calculation. So the combination of the team, the traction, the quality of the project and vision, and the financial aspect of it, it's kind of a mix of that. So you're informed by the data, and then you are informed by your experience and everything you've done. And we are also, like probably you are on the VC side, informed by all the projects that we see, because we see many things that have not hit the market yet. And also, there are certain category of games where we feel we can add value, and some others where we are not the right publisher for it. You are better publisher for it. So does it fit our DNA? Do we think we can add value to this project? Do we think we can work well as one team?
That's nice. Why is that? So I totally agree. It's the same for us. Like when we make deals, but why is that for you? As of like, because you want to have fun at work and you want to obviously be around people that you enjoy.
That's part of it too.
But like, also, why does there need to be a fit? Why is it not just like, no, I want to invest into that game which makes the most revenue? Why does that matter at all?
The fit is that because well, first it's a game production, so it's like we like to say, it can be a bit a roller coaster between your vision and when you execute the development, between the technology, the art, the music, and also the gameplay loop. You have to iterate sometimes to get it right. So it's important that you can have an authentic, and transparent discussion, and you can tell each other, truly things, and really work as one team to improve the project. So this notion of one team is super important. You have two legs to walk. You need great content, great publishing. If you miss one of them, or if your two legs are not working in good coordination, you may fall to the floor. And it's kind of the same. That's the same way I look at it.
Yeah.
It's truly it's one project that we work together. We fight for it, and we fight for the heart of gamers. The content has to be ready for it. The publishing work has to be done extremely well also for it. So yeah, this notion of teamwork is essential.
I was about to say, I think like there's like a closer collaboration between a developer studio and the publisher than a VC and a startup. Sometimes it depends, because also in VC, right, you have different approaches. You have the ones who become operationally very involved, and you have the ones who are, let's say, like they're especially important when it comes to fundraising, because they're going to help you with a storyline and all of that. For us, because that's great, because you say it, for us, we always say like our portfolio founders are our most important references at all. Like as of like, if we get into a competitive deal, we can tell founders everything, but the best thing you can do is like, hey, here's my list of portfolio founders. Reach out to any of them, and they're going to speak greatly about that. That's, I think, like why it's an important asset for us, and vice versa. Is like our investors, they're going to speak with our portfolio founders as well and ask them like, hey, so are they delivering as a venture capitalist? So I think like that's why it's interesting that it's important for you as well to be confident that you can deliver value, and it's not just about like
no, absolutely, and I would say it's probably because we are even involved in a deeper manner into the operations as a publisher, because we again support the game production but also do all the go-to-market work. And like you on the VC side, the reputation is very important. I mean, when new studios wants to work with us, it's gaming remains a small global village, and people are discussing between each other, and you have not every publisher are the same, not every studios are the same in terms of quality of what they can do or DNA of where they can add value. So it's important when you are an indie studio to also realize who are the key publisher I could work with for my game, because I could be an excellent publisher for this type of game, but for my game, maybe it's better this publisher.
Yeah. And I think like it's also, to get back to the initial question with regards to a little bit like data versus gut, as I think also that's different from, at least for us, from investor to investor, as of like some investors like lean forward a lot into data. Others are more, I don't know, gut related. And what is like what would you say like is a metric where you lean forward as of like, you see, for us it's like, right, it's like usually the NRR or sort of monthly recurring revenues, or it's kind of the retention rate. Like what is a metric where you see like, oh, if you see that, you really lean forward?
Initial step of a game, it will never be a 100% mathematical thing.
Yeah, for sure. But it
will be certain things like I was mentioning on the traction. So all the wish list, traction on social media and wish list, views on trailers, and particularly engagement from players into commenting, super important. And then when you get a bit further, day one retention, monetization, day 7 retention, depending on the type of games, but especially for free-to-play, that's essential, because a free-to-play game by definition is free. So if your retention and monetization metrics are not where it should be, you have to rework your content and to work again on your monetization system and everything. So traction, retention and monetization system is probably where we are looking. But again, when you are in the initial step of a game, it's not a finished product. So you need to see elements that you feel you are confident into fixing or improving, where you think you can bring those metrics to a certain point that makes sense for you to invest.
So when we look at deals, you can put these deals into different risk profiles, let's put it like that. There are sometimes things that you call like it's an insane moonshot. The upside is massive, but you're going to burn money in very short time and going to see if this is true or false. And then there are bets which are like, obviously we're in venture capital, so we just invest into potential moonshots, but there are ones where you're like, okay, the the downside is a little bit more limited.
Yeah.
This for sure going to be bought, maybe not for $1 billion, but maybe for 200 million or whatsoever. And when we source deals, we kind of categorize those deals. Do you do this as well? Do you categorize kind of I don't know?
Yeah, a bit in some form, in the sense that when you are a studio, you are usually one studio, one game most of the time. So you are focusing 100% of your time and energy on one game. When you are a publisher, you are handling a portfolio, a bit like a VC, you were talking portfolio company. So it's a bit the same. You can place some bets and diversify your risk between different games. So different types of games, different types of break-even, different types of investment. So yes, we totally do that. If you look at we just announced 2 games, we will announce a new one soon. All of them are different. And the variety of deals, and one of them is an IP from Asmodee. So you have an IP, with a big tabletop game behind called The Descent, so Asmodee IP. The other one is an IP that one of my co-founder, Manu, has developed with a team in Lyon called Fading Echo. And this one is an fully internal IP. And then the last one is a very small little project we found in Madagascar with a very small break-even.
Madagascar.
You can see that we have very diversified type of project. The common factor is passion. The common factor is, each of them has the potential to be global successes. But at least with the portfolio management, you are, like you are saying, diversifying your bets or your investments.
I have a question here, which is actually, have you ever sourced a game in a completely unexpected place? Tell us about Madagascar.
It's a funny story. You always have to be curious. You always have to, it's always discussing with people and exchanging where you have ideas and you find things. I'm always discussing with people outside, even the gaming industry, and that's where it gives you ideas for your own business. So I always find that interesting. And this one is a funny story so I will explain because it's a long one.
Absolutely.
But the biggest, one of the biggest, or the number one French rap singer called Orelsan, so very known in France. His wife is from Madagascar, so he was traveling very often there because he's got family there. And he decided, because he saw that there is a lot of young people, but lack of schools, lack of even electricity and water in some occasion. So he built a house there to help young generation creating music, creating animes, and creating games. And he found a very passionate team. So it's Dina, Stevie, and Karen, the 3 founders of Red Racket.
We're gonna link all of them.
Yeah, thank you for them. Thank you for them in advance.
The VC ecosystem gonna be all gamers after that podcast.
They were literally coding on one PC and having electricity issue and stuff, but their level of passion and commitment was super high. So, well, he decided to help them, and then they created a prototype, and then he was thinking the next step would be certainly to find a publisher. So I think he did good thinking at that. So he called Squeezie, the number one French influencer. So Squeezie is a big, maybe you don't know him, but very big in France, and especially in the gaming community. And since we did long time ago at Blizzard something with him on Overwatch, we did a video Overwatch rap battle with Squeezie. Okay. He thought about us.
He remembered you.
He called us, and then we put us in contact with back to Orelsan, and then we met with the Red Racket team in Madagascar. There were 3 people with a level of passion I've very rarely felt, and like we were saying before, this notion of team and human factor and passion is really key. So yeah, we had some video calls, and then I went there with some team members to meet them in Madagascar, and we decided,
which was a nice trip as well.
Nice trip as well, and beautiful trip. If you've never been there, it's a fantastic island. And and we decided to form the project, and it's a very nice adventure. And luckily, Microsoft also saw it, and we will be announcing the game in 2 weeks, and we will be part of the Microsoft indie event. So very, very pleased about it.
That sounds very promising.
Yeah, very pleased about it, and beautiful project also from, I started in the industry because of passion. I'm a passionate gamer since, you mentioned the number of years, so since too many years.
Sorry.
And helping again, new generations to live their dream Especially for them, it would have been, without our support and help, I think it would have been more challenging. So very happy to help them, and they are super talented teams.
It's,
so very
it's
happy
also
about
something you can be really proud of, no? Because like I think like this is what I mean. Like I mean this doesn't happen often, right? I think like sourcing like usually like for us is it well, right? Like I found once a deal on Twitter. I absolutely did not expect it because it was a founder bashing the banking industry and like working at MasterCard, and I texted him. He was like, I'm actually starting a company, and I was like, okay, nice. And we backed them, and he sold the company. So I think like sometimes you find those on very random places, or you don't expect that, but it also doesn't happen often. Or is this for you?
No, but
more like network?
Well, it's happening more and more in the gaming industry because you have new regions coming with a lot of passionate people. So I was talking Africa here, but also India, Southeast Asia, Latin America, and you have a lot of new generation of people coming with new ideas and their own cultural background, and it's leading to games a lot of personality. In the case of the game I'm mentioning called Kalanur, all the music is done locally, all the art is done locally, so everything has a strong personality. So hopefully among the 20,000 games that will be released this year,
this one gonna stand out.
This one at least will be different, and hopefully gamers will buy into it.
I was about to ask because I said earlier, like this one guy who said like he leans forward when he thinks like, what the heck is this? And you just said like you were kind of, you got into gaming because of passion. Is there a certain pattern where you recognize, oh, this is something that you are enjoying most?
Well, I love the way he's saying it. What the heck is this? For us, it's a bit that. It's we divide the game into different components. It's look and feel and the gameplay loop. It's the heart of the game, is the engine of the game, is really the gameplay loop, and then the look and feel is how the car is looking. How does it look from outside? And both are important in the sense that to emerge from the crowd and among all these 20,000 games, you need to be different in terms of look and feel. You need your car to be recognized among the others. So what the heck is this in terms of look and feel? I mean, the personality or the differentiation point, it's super important for us. And then you can combine that with having some innovation in terms of gameplay, which brings something new to player in terms of experience. And that's really the two components we are looking when we assess purely the project. I'm not talking about the team or the other component we were discussing.
There's a common saying in venture capital, founders or former founders have a certain advantage in their career as a venture capitalist for several reasons. Obviously, in competitive deals, you as a founder or former founder of a successful company, you can say like, hey, I did it in the past. But I'm always wondering, because it's not only about like getting into the deals, it's also about picking the deals. And one might say like a former founder is a better venture capitalist as of like picking. Is this, how can we draw this analogy for your industry as of like, is a former developer a better publishing director or?
That I'm not sure, because that's two different really jobs. But there is a common factor very often, which is this notion of passion. I think people, especially when you're in the studio, you're developing your thing, and it's weeks or months or years of hard work and commitment to develop your game. And I think when you are speaking with someone from the outside, especially on the publishing side, it's a question of passion. It's a question of very quickly you see who you talk to, in the sense of you share the common passion, and you see in the discussion that the other person you talk to is understanding your work, is understanding your content, and is asking the right question on the vision. So that's where hopefully the credibility and the relevancy into what the relationship is quickly made. If you are not really understanding games and stuff, it's very quick also. When you are a game content creator, it's your baby, and you want people to understand what you're cooking and really taking care of it and having this level of understanding. And also at the same time, you want complementary, back to your point about what is publishing, what do I need to do for my game to be successful, and you want to have the right people taking care of it. With the right level of focus. That's the other thing, is that on our side, we are just picking a few games because we can't do too many, because if we do too many, then you lose relevancy, you lose focus, you lose attention, you lose your fighting spirit to fight for the content you have chosen to work with the studio. So that's super important.
And I think like also, I mean, it can be a successful game even though it's not your taste of game, right?
Yeah.
That's also like probably a different one. As of like you personally maybe say like, okay, I will never ever play that, but it might be still a successful game, and you need to kind of divide those.
Yes. So
This is the
all of-
private set
yeah,
and the
all of us
publisher
at Newtels are 99%, maybe 100% are gamers. So it's very rare that it's one person deciding. We have several people, like currently we are assessing a game, we have 8 people from the team playing it, and then we are debating about it. And it's sometimes a bit heated in the discussion because it's not, you can't be all the time right. And many publishers have missed gems, in the past, because it's difficult to, in the amount of and the volume of pitches you see, you can do mistakes. Everyone does mistakes. The question is to, of course, have a lower rate of mistakes than the others to win. But everyone can do mistakes. So back to your question.
It's like a little bit also an IC format, right? Like for us, it's always the investment committee. Someone presents an opportunity, then like everyone in the investment team discuss the opportunity, and you end somewhere.
And there is a notion of, like I like to say, it's being objective, fueled by your subjectivity, and it's very hard to do. Because a lot of people are like, I like it or I don't like it. And the question is not really about that. It's a question about, okay, you have your own professional background. Do you think it's something that makes sense for Newtels, in our case, for our portfolio, for our business? And it's difficult because people are passionate. So this notion of subjectivity and liking it or not is very strong because it's not like a business, it's not a pitch deck, it's also the passion. It's also a game you need to fight for. The limitation of that is choosing games where you can add value, even if it's not directly your own taste. You know that you can add value to this game due to the background from the team. But there are certain category of games where we have experienced
things. It's not your first rodeo.
It's not the first, type of games. From the category, so then we have, of course, better credibility or relevancy in what we say or in helping the project.
You just spoke about missed opportunities.
Yeah.
In venture capital, there is a saying which is like the anti-portfolio. So it's like
how do you call
things
it?
Anti-portfolio.
Okay.
And the anti-portfolio is basically the deals which you actively rejected. So you could have got in, but you rejected it. And it turned out to be a unicorn. And as you said, like you make mistakes, you learn from those things. So this happened to you too?
Oh, I'm sure. It did in my career many times. There is few things. In the office in EC, we have the thing about Michael Jordan. I've wrote it on the wall. It's kind of I don't remember, but he missed more dunks than he won. Or recently, I saw the stat about Federer, like. He's losing 46% of his points, but at the end of the day, he has won 86% of his matches. So everyone is losing. The question is not about winning or losing. The question is about losing less than the others, so that you win more than the others. So that's more the way I'm approaching it and you have enough as a VC or for us as a publisher, you receive hundreds and hundreds of game pitches. So maybe you will miss one, but the question is how many will you will have other opportunities all the time, so it's just a question of not missing too much the great ones.
In our job, is for sure a learning curve. Like the longer you stick around, the more things you see, the more you understand. Like also kind of the profile of founder that you think has the thing or what it takes. Right? I think so it's experience. And then I think it's also a certain matter of consistency, right? As you said, like you need to stick around for some time. You need to be diligent, and I think you should. I think it's just part of the game. That's like what we say as well. At the same time, I must say, we are an outlier industry, right? And I think I don't know, in your industry, I think it's the same. It's like I don't know how many percentage, like 8 or 10%, maybe make 85% of the revenue on Steam. I don't know, roughly like that. So it still hurts. It still hurts to miss one of those because there are not that many who become really big.
No, of course. I mean, for sure it hurts. Then you missed it. It's the past. So you need to focus on what can I do better to win the next one. It's points after points. It's deals after deals. It's step by step. Because some people are getting stuck into what they missed, but what they missed, it's over. It's gone.
Yes.
So focus on the future and improve what you can do to improve it, to get the next one, because you will have a next one. So learn quick, be agile, and address your issues very quickly. Then life is too short. Don't care about the past.
Then let's look at the next deal, and we go to maybe a little bit into the deal making. So I think in gaming, if I understood it correctly, both sides pitch each other. Publishers pitch developers on why they should sign with them, and not just the reverse.
Yeah.
So now you launched New Tales. It's a new brand.
Yeah.
You probably sometimes compete with very established publishers. How do you win those deals? Are those deals competitive? And if yes, how do you win them without having like a huge track record? I mean, you have.
But we have a previous track record from the team.
Yes.
As New Tales, we are still a new organization, but we have some initial great partnership and successes we can share now, which was not the case, when we started the company, where we were more a PPT and it was more relying on our own experience. Well, first, the number of opportunities in our market is huge. Like we mentioned, it's 20K games per year. So yes, we have some kind of competition with other publishers, but again, there is a lot of content. So it's not like if it was super intense, on this front anymore.
We try to look somewhere where other people don't look. At the same time, you often, I don't know, many VCs chase the same deal.
Yeah. You have, especially for the games which are already showing initial great traction.
Yeah. Okay.
So then, of course, when you have an initial success, the more success you can have or show or demonstrate and KPIs, the more interesting you are. It's like for the investment community versus an ID, and if a company start to have great KPIs to demonstrate and show. So in this case, I think we are just remaining who we are, meaning we are. It's a question of authenticity, question of building relationship with the studio, because again, people are putting a lot of efforts and passion into building something. So it's a question of understanding their content, being relevant in the discussion. It goes both ways, by the way, because the trust goes both ways. It's also important for us that we have trust that if we invest our time and money into this team, we can really work well as one team. As I was mentioning, there are some categories of games where, due to our past expertise, we can add a greater value. So I think that tells in the discussion. And then in the way we are building deals and partnership on our end, we don't really do it one way, like sending term sheets or stuff like that. We are working with an Excel file, looking at what the studio would like to do. First we start with what do we think the game needs to be successful. Then we have what the studio can bring. Then we have what New Tales can bring. Then we have what needs to be complemented by external agencies or efforts. We look at the contribution of all, and then usually the deal terms are kind of a consequence of that, but we build that together with the studio so that it's fully transparent, fully collaborative, and it's already a test point somehow about the work relationship we could have. And then when you end up with a deal structure, you have already built teamwork doing it, you have built trust, and everyone understands who does what and the contribution of each. So it's much stronger, we think, or at least that's the way we like to do it, than just sending a term sheet. Here is your game, we love it. Here is a term sheet, and that's it. So no, they are part of it. We do it together. So we are already starting this one team journey together with the studio. We have been told that the relevancy of our feedback and this process about being collaborative and very transparent and fair and win-win. I mean, because it's the success for us, we are not shooting for the break-even, we are shooting for the moon. So the moon means everyone wins. So if you want everyone to win, it needs to be a motivation factor for all. So it needs to be built together so that everyone is motivated into winning.
Historically, it was always like there's the investor and there's the startup. And the investor, as of it's not really eye level. And I think at least at NAP, for example, that's we said we build a fund from founders, for founders, and we talk on an eye level. Even if shit hits the fan, which happens quite often, we always decide in favor of our founders. Even though we could have a preferred position, we rarely do that because we say what comes around goes around. And we have that now. We had a company which wanted to sell or had the opportunity to sell early. It was a great deal for the founders, life-changing money. For us, it was an okay outcome. We could have kept going, and we could have even interfered the situation. And we were you know what? No, we go in the favor of the founders. Now they're gonna they now build a new company. they remembered us. It was a super competitive round. We got in because they remembered back then they weren't assholes. That's also why it's no asshole partners.
Yeah.
But
well, for us, this process is simply a test bed somehow, and also it's like if you are building a small new company for the game together. So it's more like if we were two co-founders together fighting for the game, and so it's very deep into the operational process and the relationship building due to that, and that's the reason why we don't do too many games per year. Because you need this dedication and focus, and we are picking the one where we have fun and pleasure to work together. We have very strong ambition. The way we love to call ourselves is ambitious farmers, having our feet down to earth and our head very, very high, close to the moon.
I think it's nice. I think from the mentality, Newtails and NAP are quite
similar.
quite similar in both of our industries. What is the right to exist for a new publisher when you don't have track record?
Publisher is not one job. It's accumulation of many expertise you need to have in the team, from platform management, B2B events, the international aspects, the localization, the QA, the influencer management, the security, the data, etc. So what I mean by that is that most of the time, many new publishers it's difficult to start from ground zero. Many people are coming from other big publishers, and then creating their own boutique or publishing boutique. And because developing a game is something you can probably do in your garage, or you can master. You see teams from 1 or 2 or 3 people developing great games. Being a publisher of 1 or 2, it's challenging. You need people that are mastering all the different, what we call the publishing keyboard, all the different keys you need to play, the publishing music and the go-to-market music to advertise your game to gamers. Yeah. So most of this require a bit bigger teams, and this is also requiring some funding. Because you need to pay the marketing, or you need to fund game development. So you need to have a more structured approach. But there is many new small publisher, emerging from bigger publisher, many talented people that wants to create their own thing. And again,
and then they go niche, like, because you can't say like, we do the next.
At the beginning you go niche, and then you try to expand your adventure, building your portfolio. That's what we are doing on our side, with the particularity that we are combining on our end, because we have very talented people that worked on great games before. We are combining it also with our own game production and/or production support for studio, which is also cool, because we are at the same time a publisher and a developer, so we have a developer DNA also, and this notion of respect of the creativity and respect of the content is very important for creators also. So we have kind of the same, we have some common points, and passion again is a common factor. I'm really curious about maybe the economics in deal making, but also like the level of innovation of publishers. So just to draw the parallel to venture capital, what we are seeing right now is like a new type of manager evolving, which is called the solo GP. Okay. So a solo GP is basically a single person raising a fund and running the entire thing on him or herself. So this is kind of a new concept where you squeeze into the deals with rather kind of like, let's say, like a follower ticket, right? Because a venture capital deal is like, let's say, like the total round is 2 million. You have a lead investor, which is like 1.5 million, and then you have those 500K left. And this new type of manager basically focuses on getting into the very competitive deals, but as a smaller check investor. And they run all of this themselves. And apparently it's working very well. And I was wondering, do you see new innovations in the publisher market? I don't know, new models, how they're structured, or I think also the Tim Bender at Hooded Horse, who had like this revenue split from day one. You don't recap, you have like a revenue split from day one. Yeah. Like, what's the innovation you're seeing in the publisher market with regards to that? First, quickly, what you just said about the VC, we see that in studios, having one solo dev doing great things. So this is happening on the studio side, especially with all the dev tools and AI now coming, etc. So now you have solo developers are really empowered to really do great things. So I love it as a gamer, because it's a lot of creativity coming from the indie scene. So I'm a big fan of the indie scene for that reason, because it's where a lot of innovation is coming in terms of content. On the publishing side, again, it's a question of aggregating a lot of different expertise. Agree with the approach in terms of deal structure. I think if you have a 100% recoup, it's very challenging for the studio because the studio is developing the game, but you have to realize that the publisher will get the money from the platform.
Yeah, maybe you need to
60
explain
days.
the concept of recap, because
Okay.
I think not everyone knows it. So maybe you can explain this.
Concept of recoup is, let's say you put $1 million in a game, you don't give anything to the studio until the publisher is getting back this $1 million.
Okay.
So the studio gets zero until the publisher is recouping a certain amount. And I think it's difficult because once you have created it's difficult as a studio, and we are not in favor of that because you want to build long-term relationship. You want the game eventually to have content update also, and game as a service after that, and community development. Let's say the studio gives you the game just like 1 month before the release to have the certification at Nintendo, Sony, and Microsoft. And then the publisher is just getting the money 60 days after. If on top of it you have a recoup, what it means for the studio, that during a couple of months you have zero revenue, even if your production was funded. So it depends how the deal is built, up to when you as a publisher are funding the production. But let's say you fund the production up till the release. Then you have 60 days to get your revenue. Then if you have a recoup, it means that the studio has nothing during 4 or 5 months. So it doesn't work if the studio doesn't have runway. It's not very fair. So back to what I was telling you about the Excel file and how we build deals. It's a question of we build deals into who brings what, but we look also at the cash plan by months.
For sure.
To make sure that it's fair and to make sure that the studio can pay salaries. And when we have success, the studio keeps producing content, and it's not putting the studio at risk, indeed. So it's just a question of, again, trust, relationship, collaboration into the building process, and making sure that you take into account, you look at things from both sides, and you find the sweet spot that works well for both.
How do you do it? Like, what is like the most common way you do it at New Tales? Is it like a revenue split from day one, or is it really like you can't say because the deals are so individual?
So first, the deals are very individual. We don't have a single partnership that is the same because of the way we are approaching things, but there are certain principles like not putting the studio in danger. I don't think we have any deals with 100% recoup for that reason. So unfair rev share, looking at what everyone is contributing to in terms of time and budget. Most of the time, we like to leave full creative control because it's important. It's actually sometimes challenging because you want also to not going too deep, because then you are hurting the creative control, but also you shouldn't be too far because then you are not really working as one team and handling well the process in a structured manner. So it's every project has to find its own balance in the relationship. Fair rev share is the most important point. Sometimes in tiers, first rev share a bit bigger, and then different types of rev share depending on the level of success. So that's something you can totally discuss, and it's really depending on the level of risk that one side or the other is taking, basically, and the commitment of both. So for that reason, we don't have a single deal that is the same, even if the principles are the same. I mean, principles are the same.
And it's really interesting. It might be something we can double click afterwards, because I think like in venture capital, that the deals aren't that flexible. You buy basically shares for money. Now you have the concept of venture debt becoming more a little bit, or it is there as well. But I think it's really interesting that and we saw this in other interviews also in music, for example, that the deals are negotiated so one by one, and it's way less fixed as the deals are in venture capital.
Well, I guess if you speak music, you have the Rolling Stones in front of you versus a new band from Berlin that has never done anything. It's not the same level of risk.
And that's actually quite interesting, because like this revenue share and all of that, we don't have that much.
And we get quick return of investment. That's the other thing, because as a VC, it's equity most of the time investment. In our case, we get revenue from the game very quickly, like 2 years.
What is the time horizon on that?
It depends on the game production, but let's say between 9 months to 2 years and a half, 3 years, 2 years and a half.
And do you
depends on the type of game.
And if it doesn't work, you have
you have certainty after the 9 months that you just had a total loss, or is it like you maybe, I don't know, you recalibrate or something?
Well, you have some partnership you can do, with Game Pass or stuff. You have some price building activities, but usually you know already with your pre-release traction where to go. So you have already done hopefully some adjustment on your level of commitment on the marketing side, or you have reworked on the content with the studio. And one thing the mobile gaming industry is doing very well, that the PC and console industry is just starting to do, is having a very quick check on your KPIs, retention, as we were saying, day one retention and monetization, so that on the mobile industry it's very mathematical. You test your mobile game, it's working, not working. If it's not working, you develop another type of game and you forget this one and you move to the next one, because it's short development timeline. On the PC and console, because it's longer development timeline, we are starting to test a bit more at the beginning now to avoid to be in a tunnel during a couple of months and then you have kind of a grand reveal. So we try to add more metrics and be more structured in the approach so that you don't fall into what you are saying about being, too far down the road and not having cross-corrected, what you could do to maximize success. And back to what we are saying, it's where great content, great teamwork, great publishing, etc. You need to pile up a lot of qualities to maximize chance of success. But success is not 100% guaranteed. Otherwise, it would be too easy. Everyone.
I was about to say, mobile sounds quite binary. And like the other things, like I remember from Fading Echo, I think you had a YouTube teaser showing the game, and I think this is already growing. As of like it's a very strong indicator that this might go somewhere. Knock on wood.
It's the video trailer are a good thing. Demos or video trailer to test virality, to test players' feedback. Because it's an ongoing iterative process to build a game. It takes a bit of time too. So. And sometimes you start, with a bit low, but you have your game vision and you integrate player feedback. And at the end of the day, many games, you would have seen them 6-8 months before release. You would have said it would have failed, but in fact, it became big successes because it's all the Lego blocks are kind of shaping up together and becoming these great things that was a bit broken before, and sometimes the magic is happening very late in the development process.
Did this happen with any of the big franchises that you worked at Blizzard? Was something like, I don't know, probably not a Call of Duty or did you have that as a war story for us?
Blizzard was, we had the luxury of having World of Warcraft and we were, we were saying we release it when it's ready, so we had time to cook and iterate a lot, and we had hundreds and hundreds of employees internally able to provide feedback. So let's say we were in a very, very particular environment, living in our own bubble or planet, having a Battle.net and our own community with us. So it's a different world, I'm now in the opposite thing, being in an indie, game publisher and growing a new company, and you have less the luxury of time and money. So at the same time, it's great because it's you have to find other solutions, being creative, and we are more connected with the gaming world now than I used to be at Blizzard, where we were living in our bubble. Now we are extremely connected at Newtest, discussing with lots of people and learning a lot. So it's very different adventures.
I think you are in a very interesting position because you even raised money yourself from a venture capitalist.
Yeah, we did.
And I would be really curious to understand what you think, because you spoke with many VCs, not only, I mean, now you raised from Bitcraft. It's one of the best gaming VCs out there. So they really have kind of this straddle gaming and venture, but you spoke with many VCs. What do they get wrong about publishing, like as of what do you think they misunderstand or find most surprising when they then speak with you? Because it's almost like a fund investing into a fund who picks the games. Or
4 or 5 years ago when we created Newtales, everyone was about, hey, I'm investing in a studio, in a game, in an IP. And you're right, the thing that was the most challenging is to explain what is publishing. Many people didn't understand what is publishing. Now with the market that is becoming more and more competitive, like I think it's Jens von Bitcraft that used to say it, now we are living a publishing renaissance. And it is right, it's about that. We are truly in strong need of discoverability, maximizing game reach. But I think even among the game industry and the studios, there was this notion of publishers were bringing money, yes, but there was a lack of understanding among VC about the what was publishing and what it was meaning into operational implementation about following game production and bringing a game to market. It's actually a lot of things that you need to do, and there was and probably still is a lack of understanding about the what is publishing and how it can make a difference. Again, this notion of content is king, publishing is queen. I think everyone understand, okay, a game developer develop his game. You don't really know what it is, but you understand. But then bringing the game to market, as I was mentioning before, you think you can put your game on Steam and then you are published. And no,
Not really.
not really. And people don't realize everything else you need to do. So that's, to answer your question, it was about that. I think 4 or 5 years ago, people didn't realize this notion, and we were post-COVID, and everyone wanted to invest in the game. And actually, many people didn't understand our model, which was developing games at the same time developing a publisher. And they were like, "Why do you do both? You should
Like it's
focus.
hybrid.
You should focus, you know." And because people like simplicity and understand something, but no, you need 2 legs to walk. You need content. You need publishing. Otherwise, you cannot walk, or you cannot maximize your success. And I think. And also the first year we worked a lot under the agency model, where we were at the beginning we had no money and we were working on an agency to generate revenue. We were actually profitable thanks to that immediately.
That's
the
also
first year.
something VCs are not used to.
And they were
Profitable
like
business.
profitable. Yeah, well, maybe, but it's more, why do you do agency? You should build your tech or you should build that. And in fact, it was good for us because it did allow us to reinvest even more into, other types of things. So I think that was about it. And of course, now the big question is about AI. That's a big component at the moment that will have, and I'm just back from a US trip of 2 weeks in SF and LA,
Yes.
and the impact is really significant over there. And I think we are as a society not prepared for what's coming. On the gaming side, AI has always been a core component of our games, and at Newtales we look at it very carefully, and we have several initiatives protecting creators and IPs and artists, obviously, because that's something we are very mindful of. But AI is a strong reality that is underestimated by many people in Europe at the moment in particular. I think we are lagging behind. Despite the fact that I'm the old Versailles city at the moment. I'm just back from the US. I've got friends in China. I was there recently, and it's really moving fast over there.
So first of all, I think AI is always great to put on your pitch deck when you speak to VCs.
Currently, okay. Thanks for mentioning. First, we are in the motion, so I don't want to go too deep into it because we are actually iterating and working on it. But first one, it's our 2 legs. The first one is about content creation and how AI can really help game developers to develop new ideas and empower and amplify their creativity. That's more the way we look at it. At the moment, you have many solutions being built. The way I like to describe it is like you have all those Lego blocks in front of you on the table, and the question is, how do you assemble all that to build great games? So that's the type of solutions we are working with. And the second one is on the publishing side. AI can be helpful into advising, into collecting data, into giving you better information and helping you in your decision making in your go-to-market plans, especially comparing best practices with competition. So that's the type of things we are digging into at the moment. The train is going super fast, so we don't want to be just watching the train. Playing with it for us, technology has always been there since the beginning. We went through, internet and all the different, variation. Sometimes there has been a bit of over craziness around Web3 gaming, which, didn't find really something exciting. But the internet or AI are really fundamental things that will really have a strong impact.
Is there because you mentioned the societal component, and we see it ourselves a lot. The pitch in venture capital right now is like, okay, AI helps you to tap into the labor market.
Yep.
Which is like, it's easily said, but if you think it through, it oftentimes means more junior people just entering the job market gonna have a hard time finding jobs, because those are the jobs which everyone is speaking about, like tap into the labor market, right? Because it's not like yet like a senior software, senior product manager is going to replace. It's rather kind of the junior roles which are replaced at the first hand. Is this the same for you guys as of like, maybe not in new tales particularly,
No.
but in publishers? Are those other roles which are attacked by AI?
Well, not in new tales, because we are a growing organization, and so we are not, we are just an emerging publisher. But I'm more living it personally on a private basis. It's my daughter is at UC Berkeley and just graduated from UC Berkeley, and currently with our all the other students, they are seeking for internship or junior jobs opportunities. And it's especially on the tech side of business, it's much harder than it used to be. And all the friends I was discussing with when I was in the US recently, all of them told me the same thing. All the parents are kind of worried for their kids, and because they're all seeking for job opportunities or internship, and so it's impacting. I think it's already starting to become a strong reality in the US in some regions like California, and I'm worried that it will spread around the world, and that we are not very prepared for that. I'm worried for the younger generation. Hopefully, it will be like in every new tech changes, there is a bit of let's say over insisting on the potential impact that it could be, and a bit of mythology about versus the reality of what it can be, at least on short term. So hopefully it will come back, but in the US they are going through it at the moment.
How does it change because we spoke earlier today as of when you look at when investing or when deciding to work with a studio, you look at the team and you see like a certain, look and feel. And there's like the component of like technical capability and creative mind. Does like AI have an impact as of that the technical capabilities become less important because there is now AI and creativity is becoming more important in this decision making when picking teams? Yeah, I think
the vision and the creativity are becoming more important for sure, because the technical barriers will lower over time. I mean, I'm a crap developer, but I've got many ideas. Maybe soon I will be able to do it myself, which is really
more
cool.
IP for new tales.
I think it will be kind of rewarding. Everyone will be able to do crap things, but it will reward really the most creative and talented people and the ones that have vision and creativity, which that's one of the positive aspects of it. I really like that.
Really interesting for your market, because you said there's like more noise as of like 20K games on Steam. Let's assume like this number is going to become bigger, and then you are looking for people with creative in that huge field. You're looking not for people with technical capability, which you can kind of measure or see, but you're looking for the person behind every of those things. But your job gonna be very tough.
Yeah, it will. But well, first we are not there yet. I mean, you still have to, and it was still tough. I mean, creating a game is a miracle. You have to have artists working with technical people, sharing the same vision, and being in this roller coaster together. So it's hard to do a great game, really hard. So I think we are used to a certain level of difficulty, and this new technology is just a new technology, like a real internet, and again AI was already part of many games in the past when you were interacting with NPC. It's not really new, but the scale of it is new, and the impact it may have on society is a new thing. Putting aside gaming,
you spoke about when it comes to creativity. You spoke about like you give the developers kind of a lot of freedom here, right? So let's maybe talk about certain creative guardrails. The final say at every stage has kind of the developer when it comes to creativity. At the same time, where do you draw the line between respecting creative autonomy and setting kind of or intervening when you see a game heading towards commercial failure
Because I assume this is quite tough, also because you said like sometimes 5 months before the launch, it still looks like a car crash, but it might be great.
Yeah.
Where do you draw the line between giving that freedom and providing
Well,
guidance?
the first step, in the original step, you are discussing a lot about the alignment, about what we want the final game to be. So it's an alignment on the game vision, game content. And then we have producers, people in our team that are following the production. And usually, if you are funding a production, you have milestone payments. So the studio is kind of, at different step of the game production. The publisher is paying when the studio is hitting a certain milestone. So that you don't pay, necessarily at the end. And if a milestone is missed, you discuss the why and you see how can this be corrected and everything. So it's not like, it's a tunnel. There's regular checkpoints and bills delivery and milestone delivery linked to payments. So that's the way publishers.
So it's not like a upfront payment of all of it. And
all the publishers are linking it most of the time. And then it's depending on the project, obviously, depending on the level of seniority of the studio, depending on the complexity of the project and stuff. But usually that's the usual frame is about milestone payments.
Then maybe with regards to working together, what was the fastest that you signed a studio from first contact to signing?
Good question. I can't remember because honestly, the only limiting factor in the speed is the notion of building relationship and trust. So, and that takes a bit of time because you need enough meetings or lunch or drinks, whatever, to build a relationship. So the only limiting factor is more there than the project or capabilities to decide quick.
Yeah,
it's more about relationship building. So I would say a few weeks due to that, depending where the studio is also in the world, because we are working with studios all around the world. Sometimes in Asia, sometimes in the US. So you have also the distance, and sometimes with people we knew from the past. So that in this case, if the relationship is already established, so it's very, very quick. So I remember, in some occasion, you go to GDC, Game Developer Conference in San Francisco, and you have meetings, and one day you have a friend, popping on WhatsApp, you are here, okay, let's do a breakfast, and finally you make a deal when it was totally unplanned.
Well, you did not expect it.
Not expected, and you decided to go there because it's cool, you are happy to see each other, and then it becomes something. Yeah. So it's all, so to answer your question, super fast, but the limiting factor is more the human. For the people you don't know, it's more the building the trust and the relationship. And it takes time to build, and it's quick to lose.
It's a little bit, again, comes around, goes around. From starting a relationship to ending a relationship, like for us, right, there's the exit. This can be like when we have an asset and the company does an IPO, we can exit, or that's an exit, or an M&A is an exit. How is exit in your world? Does that even exist, or is it like you just keep going with the revenue split until you make as much money as possible?
In the partnership, you have a certain contract duration, so you have a certain amount of years usually to publish the game. So there is an ending date, and then you can have a renewal, but at least there is a fix because it's rev share based. So there is it's for a certain duration your partnership.
Okay, so but it's not like you don't have any. Let's say like it goes super well, and after 5 years, like officially the contract is over, you need to renegotiate and hope that they still work with you. But there's no guarantee.
No. Well, after a certain duration, no, for the external games, and then for the games you develop yourself or studio you would have acquired, it's different, obviously. But for the external partner studio, it's duration based with renewal, and then it depending on the rights, IP rights, and etc., the details of the contract. But usually when it's working well, I mean, it's less difficult than when it's not working well.
True. As you said, if we go to the moon, everyone gonna be happy.
If everyone is happy on the moon, usually everyone is celebrating on the moon and staying on the moon. It's more when there are some turbulences in the flight that this part can be more challenging than the moon.
Thank you so much for joining today. We usually also have an exit for this podcast. So in Germany we say Wimpeltausch.
Wimpeltausch.
Do you know the French word?
Ich kann ein bisschen Deutsch sprechen.
Oh no! Okay, there's a big surprise to the end of
Échange
the
de
podcast.
fagnon.
Échange de fagnon?
Échange de fagnon, je crois
Okay,
qu'on dit
so
comme ça.
usually at the end of our podcast we make
Okay.
an échange de fagnon.
Oh.
And so there is like a cliche. So we usually bring you something.
Okay.
And there is a cliche in our industry which says like all people are wearing Patagonia vests. You might have heard of that.
Uh-huh.
At NAP we don't wear Patagonia vests. We actually do hoodies ourselves for our
Okay.
guests of the show. So we designed
Wow.
a sweatshirt
New
for
Tales
you.
one. Thank you very
Sorry.
much.
We designed a New Tales version for you
Great.
to remember this podcast and wear it in all proud. So that's for you.
Thank you so much. Dankeschön.
This de Fagnon.
So since you gave me something,
Oh no!
I gave you my little lemur from Madagascar with love and coffee.
This from Madagascar.
That's from Madagascar. It's
Okay,
actually
that's
coming
for the
from
new game.
Madagascar. Yeah, that's for the new game.
Okay, that's so nice. Cool.
So here you go.
I mean, you had a lot of choice, right?
I had
I'm
some
quite-
choice, but I gave you the new thing. This is
quite-
the future.
Yeah, I
Fabian.
think like it also is, it fits quite well, no? So we're gonna take that one. Okay, Seth. Again, thank you so much.
Thank
This
you,
was,
Fabian.
It was
Dankeschön.
really a pleasure,
Dankeschön.
and I think like we did hopefully a good job in drawing some parallels, but also not parallels between your industry.
Great
and our
discussion.
industry.
Thank you so much. Was
See you
great.
around.
See you. Bye.